Plaintiff Ashley Booker says the defendant is her sister, but they weren't that close growing up. Ashley claims she took the defendant's two sons in after the defendant was arrested for leaving her young sons home alone. She's suing her sister for rent and breach of contract. Defendant Amber Booker admits that she left her sons home alone, but insists she only intended to be gone for 30 minutes. Amber claims she went to jail and was put on probation as a result of that incident. And she insists Ashley is suing for more than she owes.
Start with you.
Yeah, I'm here with my sister. We weren't that close because of separation when we were younger. So I left and went to the Army in 2005 and left my mother and my sister in my apartment in my car. When I returned, I had nothing when I returned.
How long after?
2006, after graduation.
1 year later. Huh?
Roger, I was reserves.
What were you told occurred? With your
They lost
things?
my apartment and they lost my car.
Lost it how? Your car.
I had no other
They were
details.
supposed to pay.
They were supposed
monthly?
to be maintaining it until I returned, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
So from there, when I returned to nothing, I went overseas and came back. I reconnected with my sister in 2013. She and her oldest two sons came and lived with me. So from there, in 2014, April, my sister left her oldest two sons at home alone, and the oldest one got out of the house. It's a school area near her apartment complex, so he was out there. Someone found him. They called the authorities.
How old?
He was 4, I believe.
Go ahead.
And so they took him. The youngest was still in the house asleep, is what I was told, and they waited for her to return from work. I live 15 minutes away. I just saw her the night before. I wanted her to babysit for me so I could go out with a friend. And when she didn't return that night, that's when I went to look for her. I looked for her for 4 days.
That wasn't my fault, Ashley. I was in jail.
2014, April, my sister left her oldest two sons at home alone, and the oldest one got out of the house. It's a school area near her apartment complex, so he was out there. Someone found him. They called the authorities.
Defendant Amber Booker is being sued by her sister, who claims Amber was arrested after leaving her 4- and 2-year-old sons home alone.
You give me some background, man.
So the incident, I did leave my children at home to go to work. I worked 30 minutes up the street. I had to take care of some paperwork that I need to take care of. I have taken my children with me to work before, but on that day, I got emails from my boss stating to me that in order for me to keep my job, I need to either find a babysitter in order to take, or I can't work anymore because I was taking my children to work. So that was, I'm acknowledging of that consequence.
What was your work shift that day?
30 minutes. No, I was an auditor at the time, so all I had to do was go sign paperwork and come back.
You had to go that minute?
I didn't have to, but I did. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you've obviously been punished for that.
Right.
Suffered the consequences. All right, and what ultimately occurred?
So I stayed in jail from April to May. They sentenced me
For
to
child neglect?
Yes, for child endangerment. They sentenced me for 7 years of probation.
Okay. All right, no more incidents like this?
No.
Good. All right, you want to continue? And then we'll get to the specifics.
When I found out where she was, I waited until she could have visitors, and I agreed to pay her rent so she wouldn't be evicted and she can get back on her feet with her sons and they can return home.
And did you?
I did.
What months and year?
April to September of 2014. I paid her bills.
How much was that?
$379 per month.
All right, and she agreed to pay you?
And she agreed to pay me when she returned and pay her rent from there on.
All right,
herself.
and what happened?
She never did, but at that time, I was just like, if you're not gonna pay your rent, I don't have the money to pay for both rents because I had just moved into my new home, which is why she lived on her own. So I said, you can just come move back with me, and then you just.
Did she?
Yes, and
All
she
right.
did.
And you're not suing for anything related to that, just this rent?
No.
All right.
So then in 2015, Your Honor, September, she had a second son living with me this whole time, didn't have her other 2 kids, but she can have another child, and so I kicked her out again.
Oh, okay. So the 2 that had been removed, she had another one
She got
before they were
pregnant,
returned.
living with me, and got pregnant again. Yes, Your Honor.
And how did that work out?
It didn't work out well because I called her an idiot. You cannot just be running around here with these yahoos getting pregnant, and you can't even
All right,
care
but
for
she
your other
stayed
2
with
kids.
you, and
But
did she
with
care
me.
for the 3rd child?
No, she didn't have her child. She only had her child a couple weeks before we gave the child to my mother
Why?
to care for him, because she couldn't care for him herself.
Why not? She was
Because
ill
she
or
was going
has
to be
a
out of the house because she don't have nowhere to
disability?
stay.
Huh?
Nowhere to stay, Your Honor.
Oh, you
I
put
had
her out.
somewhere to stay.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she did that.
And so your mom took the child.
My
because
mom
she
took
didn't
the
have a
child.
place.
I
Okay.
gave my
and
mother.
Hold on. And how long did that last?
A month before she rendered the child over to me, November 29th of 2015.
She did.
Because
did.
why? Because why?
Yeah.
Because she was in the street and got beat up by some dude. And so I said, you need to switch. I'm going to send you back with mom, and I'll take your son. And that's the only help
Under
that I can give
distress.
you.
Under distress. It
and
wasn't.
how long?
I kept him for 10 months, Your Honor.
And then what happened to the child?
And she did not breach. She breached the contract. 'Cause we signed paperwork saying
What
that I would
contract?
keep the document that I have here, Your Honor.
What does it say?
It says that I would keep the child until Amber could get on her own 2
Let's
feet.
see it, please.
She had to
Until
have
what?
rent till she can get on her own 2 feet, having an apartment that she could pay for rent for 3 months, savings for daycare for 6 months, Your Honor.
Okay.
She would render me taxes for the years that I
All right,
have
so
him.
she didn't pay, but I'm worried about the child. That's what I want to know. What happened after the 10
7th
months?
of October, she came in, took him to I work at
And has
home.
cared for him since?
She has had him since October 7th, yes, Your Honor.
All right, and everything's been smooth?
I
Anyone
don't know,
checking
Your
on
Honor.
her?
She won't let me. She hasn't let
You
me.
don't
How about your
check
mother?
in
Will she
with
let your
him.
mother see the child?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and your mother says the child is fine?
My mother says that my sister should rather just be in the car.
Does she
homeless.
say the child is fine?
My mother has not spoken to me either about the child, Your Honor.
Oh, your mother won't speak to you and she won't speak to
Correct.
you. Go ahead. Let me hear from you now. What happened to these children?
So after I got out of jail,
Mm-hmm.
before I went, they asked me who do I need to release the children over.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she wanted them, but I gave them to their father, and he has had care for them since then. I mean, we're back in the swing of things now. As far as the youngest one, the third one, my third child, I did give her legal guardianship for him for the time being until I got on my feet. But the whole soul of that agreement was until I got on my feet. It wasn't per her
Got
standards.
it. So what did happen?
After she told me, no, I cannot have my son.
Because she did not follow the
Quiet.
agreement, Your Honor.
After she told me, no, I cannot have my son because I told her I'm stable, I have these things, I need to get him back. She told me no. I said from there, I proceeded to do it the legal way, and that's the route I took. I called the cops. They said, there's no legal binding under the court. You can have your child.
Okay, good. Doesn't sound as bad as it might otherwise be. And that child is healthy and fine.
Right. I worked 30 minutes up the street. I had to take care of some paperwork that I need to take care of. I have taken my children with me to work before, but on that day, I got emails from my boss stating to me that in order for me to keep my job, I need to either find a babysitter or I can't work anymore because I was taking my children to work.
Defendant Amber Booker is being sued by her sister, who claims Amber was arrested after leaving her 4- and 2-year-old sons home alone.
What about the rent? She said you agreed to pay the rent when you were in jail. You agreed to pay.
So only May. I moved out in June.
Okay. Did she move out in June or not?
I remember her staying there till September, Your Honor.
You
No,
remember
that's-
her
no.
staying there. You don't sound too confident, ma'am.
Was not there. I'm pretty sure you would know that if you knew the relationship that started between me and his
All
father.
right. What
but I
about
guess
the
not.
other? What about this agreement to care for the child? $3,000.
Oh, child support, yes.
You do owe her that
yes,
for
I
caring
do.
for the child?
Yes.
$3,105, and you say you only owe for May? Do you have any other evidence that she owes beyond May, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
All right, because you're not clear. $379 plus $3,105. You said, as I can remember. That's not a person that's very clear and confident. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of
$34.84.
$34.84. Have a good day.
I just want you to be an honest woman, Amber.
It does not matter. At the end of the
And I
day,
wanna
you're trying to
see
take
Roy.
children. You're not going to
We
see him
want
if I
to
don't
see
trust
Roy.
you. You're not going to see him if I don't trust you.
You
It
don't
has
do nothing
to
but
do
go
with that.
around with these yahoos.
You are blamed. You have always bullied me, Ashley. You have always bullied me. Always have. How? You're my sister. You are my sister. Support, Ashley. Support.
I
I would have liked a relationship with my sister. I still do. I still hope for that. We have tried to make a relationship work as far as our kids goes, but at this point, it's just gonna take time.